Welcome to Rod's Garden. When we moved in this house a year and a half ago, the yard was mostly bare dirt and pigweed. The lilac and the salt cedar were the only plants left over from when they bulldozed the original house and built this one in its place. I put in a very unconventional landscape. It's mostly perennials and shrubs with a few annuals mixed in. The main sidewalk here leads to a gravel path that winds around the landscape. We're going to take a stroll down that path and look at some of the plants that are planted here. First bed we planted is the rose garden. You can see the rose bushes already starting to bloom. In the center we had daffodils, hyacinths, and crocus that put on a nice display in the early spring. And now in May you can see the purple and the yellow pansies that are blooming. These are all volunteer seedlings from the first pansies we planted when we first moved in. Over on this side we have Monarda, or bee balm. It's a great plant for attracting hummingbirds and also bees. Next to that we have some thyme and then some Corsican mint, both very fragrant plants. And then we have something a little bit unusual for the front yard. This is a tomato, a Sweet 100 tomato. Has the very tasty little tomatoes in front. Put it here so I could grab some fruit as I got home from work. And this is a wall of water. It has tubes filled with water that help absorb heat during the daytime and let it back to keep the tomatoes warmer in the evening. That helps them grow a lot faster. We also have some marigolds planted here. They're just getting started. These are the French marigolds. They have the open flowers. They're really good for attracting bees. In fact, they attracted more bees than any other of our plants all combined. Then we have a nice hardy geranium here called Roseanne. Nice blue flowers for most of the spring and summer. On the other side of the pathway, we have an unusual native plant. This is called Louisia. Common name is bitterroot. Has flowers for a nice long season. This is Louisia. We also have Clarkia on the other side of the garden. We have a nice black-eyed Susan. You can see a little bit of color just starting to show. It'll have a mass of large yellow and black flowers all summer long. But the real showstopper right now are the irises. You can see all the different colors of irises that we have planted here. Very attractive. On the other side we have calendula, these yellow and orange flowers. They never died down over the winter. They continue to stay green and flower a little bit even through the winter. Just past those we have a collection of penstemon. You can see the different colored leaves, the different colored flowers. Very good for late summer flowers. They're also good for attracting hummingbirds and bees. And next to that is California poppy with the orange flowers. Back on the house side again, you can see some more of the different colors of bearded iris that we have. And then we have a native shrub. This is mock orange, Philadelphus louisii, the native plant. And behind that is a collection of lupin. You can see the different flower colors that we have here, pinks and blues and purples. And in the back against the fence there is foxglove, a pink foxglove. It's a native plant. The botanical name is digitalis. This is the plant that the heart medicine comes from. So in small amounts it's therapeutic. In large amounts it is poisonous. Then we have a peaches and cream Japanese maple. And it's surrounded by peonies, several different colors here. The red ones here are a Japanese peony. You can see that the leaves are different from the other peonies. Also have a white peony blooming and some more of the lupin. Behind these are the Ludwigspath lilacs. We've been moving these to 4 different houses now Very fragrant, nice dark color. They're just about finished now. They don't show off the color like they looked a couple weeks ago. Then at the point of the walkway, where the walkway takes a sharp corner, we have a new planting here, delphiniums and pinks, and behind that is an area of red creeping thyme. Makes a nice ground cover. It'll eventually crowd out the weeds. We like that. On this side we have ceanothus. It's also called California lilac. It's about to burst into a mass of blue flowers. Don't see many blue flowering shrubs, so it's a nice one. Beyond that is kinnikinick, a nice native ground cover. It'll grow thick enough to crowd out the weeds. It has white flowers and red berries that the small mammals eat. Behind that we have a collection of wildflowers, native plants. These are mostly wild radishes. You can see they have different colors, whites and creams and bluish and pink color. Now right here there's a break in the path. I put this break here to allow water to drain off the center of the yard. But since the water doesn't run very often, I planted these blue star creeper to represent water. And a nice little stepping stone in the middle of the stream there. Have a collection of columbine here. You can see the pinks and the purples. Over here we have some blue and cream and yellow and cream. This is one of my favorites here with the red and cream color and the nice purple behind that. Here's a real unusual one. It's a dwarf columbine, only 11 inches tall. And then next to that we have the Solomon seal, which has these pairs of white flowers hanging from below the stems. On this side we have a nice native plant. This is thimbleberry, has berries like a raspberry, very tasty. And next to them we have evergreen huckleberry. These are plants that are native to the Oregon coast, and the berries are also edible. Got some daffodils here. They're all done blooming. We've got them tied up, just waiting for them to dry up and turn brown so we can remove them. This next plant is called Goose Goes Walking. It came from my mother-in-law's garden. We've moved it about 4 different times here. We really like it. And then we have Bleeding Heart, along with a very nice viola. These violas grow very easily in our yard. This clump is wood hyacinths growing inside a clump of golden thyme. Very colorful, easy to grow. Got a couple daphnes here. They're fragrant daphne and also a white daphne. Next we have lady's mantle, a nice perennial, and we also have the Korean dogwood. This is a red flowering Korean dogwood. Of course it's not a native, but it is one that has edible berries. They're not real tasty. They have kind of a lot of big seeds inside them, but they are edible. I've eaten a few. And another large foxglove. Then we've got some yarrow plants growing here, some different kinds. That one's a little more gray. The one over here has red flowers. And then we have some more pinks planted in between. They're just getting started. We have another one of the black-eyed Susan plants like we had by the front door. And this is a black-eyed Susan vine. Completely different from the other black-eyed Susan plant. And that brings us to our herb garden area. We've got our herbs in 2 pots. This pot has oregano, marjoram, chives, and also thyme. And this pot has the lemon thyme, which has a nice lemony fragrance for cooking. And it also has a very large peppermint. Now, if you're going to put peppermint in your yard, be sure to grow it in a pot because it really will get very large and spread rapidly and take over the yard if you don't keep on top of it. And then we have a spearmint. Spearmint's kind of interesting. The tiny little flowers attract tiny little bees. I thought they were flies at first because they're so small, but they are actually tiny little bees I've only ever seen on spearmint flowers. And that brings us back to where we started. I hope you enjoyed the tour of Rod's garden.